Communication is everything, even for a system, don't you think? Alert, a system error has occurred, contact the intern. As the administrator won't know what you are talking about. By chance, have you ever come across a system error in front of you? Which in addition to locking the screen in front of you, without allowing any keyboard action, just presents a small screen. With a red X, saying arrow, congratulations, you have passed phase 1. In using the system and have just been baptized as a system user. Your life will never be the same from this moment on. I know, except right, the error messages that are presented to the user are messages that initially during development are used for the developer himself to assess whether that operation linked to programming logic is behaving correctly, and the developer does not always have in his script adequate guidance to construct a screen with a more appropriate message for the user. This message could of course be more, how shall we say, friendly, more comforting, more communicative, and even explanatory for the user. Now, why isn't IT? To be or not to be, that is the question, said the philosopher long before a computer was invented and a system was developed for it. So, I remember a question that was asked in a course I took years ago by a student to the professor about the purpose of system messages, whether they were for the user or if they were for the system support team. Look, what a really excellent question, because it is a fact that many systems have messages aimed at the system support team. That is, aimed at errors and not at the system user, when it should be aimed at information, guidance how the user should proceed at that given moment. I will try to calm the mood on this issue, which is quite peculiar and also controversial in the world of development. A message to the user could work and meet some criteria, which are considered good practice in communicating with the user. Indicate with a standard system symbol whether it is a warning or alert or warning or guidance. Briefly, the message screen must have a structure containing a title, indicative icon, standard message system symbol, message body, footer, and action buttons, when necessary. The message to the user must also have a structure, where it will have a standardized behavior and writing, depending on the type of message it refers to in the system. It needs to communicate to the user what happened, if it is an alert, presenting information about the field or action that caused the alert, as well as what the user should do to move forward. In the message, use a positive approach, that is, even if it is an error, do not use the word error, use any synonym. But do not approach the user by giving him a problem. You must at this point inform him what is wrong or incomplete or that needs to be authorized, but don't tell him there was an error. In the message, it can be objective, as we know the difficulty we all have in holding our impatient finger to quickly click on the confirm or OK or yes or next button. In short, our finger is a little anxious, we all know from that. Therefore, present objective information and, if possible, have a button that the user can click and find out more about what happened, in more detail. This really solves new situations. In the message, it is worth separating the technical information from the functional information, that is, the user in front of you is probably not a developer, and if he is, he certainly did not develop this software, which he needs to use daily and repeatedly in his operations. So the communication with him must be so that he can continue using the system. That gives him information that explains to him what he did inappropriately, or what the system is expecting him to do. The user does not need to know that the occurrence that was generated is because of the Boolean field, the ASM5454 table, the static power function. This will not help him at all. This information must be generated, preferably in a complete log of the moment of the operation, and which can be generated in a file or sent directly by email, but which is protected by a button where it can be activated and seen on the screen. If necessary, possible, to pass on the information to the system's technical support. Now, avoid opening the log containing technical information in front of the user's face. It doesn't help and only takes the system's credit away from them. In the header, showing which operation you are in at that moment, you can add a code for the message there, which is linked in the program, which makes it easier for support to identify the occurrence. The title of this message must be explicitly stated in the header, which type of message it is. In the footer, information such as the logged-in user, time, module, and application, which if a screen print is used to send to support, makes it easier for support to identify the cause. Messages like the one above only demonstrate the error, and the user does not want to know about the error. He just wants to know how he is going to issue the note or download a title or complete a registration or perform whatever operation, that's all. This type of message puts the word error, the word problem in the user's vocabulary, and this ends up destroying the morale of the company's system. A system with well-thought-out communication can sell more, as it provides the user with guidance, attention, security, and autonomy, which is what the user most wants to have regarding their activities. As for the types of messages, what I'm going to say is also controversial. But the message is not to scare the user, once again. The message is for the system to talk to the user and tell them what they need to do. It is an intelligent system made by very intelligent people, and that can, yes, communicate in a more elegant way, even if they need to inform that they have lost the data. But do not throw this bomb at the user, they just need to know that the operation that you are trying to accomplish at that moment you do not have all the requirements met, which are, tell him what they are. Never leave the user in a vacuum, he cannot have to think to use a system. He needs to be guided, always on how to make the decisions you need and move forward with your work. Do you want to sell your system better? Present it to the company's key users and present them with the moments that any other system would make them stop. Make them have to spend time on the phone or chat with IT. But with your system this does not happen, because present the messages and guidelines that the system is prepared to pass. What I'm putting here doesn't need AI, artificial intelligence, to happen. Now if you really want to expand your system, add the possibility of communicating messages by sound, in addition to messages, so that the user can enable this. If you can add AI to your system, understanding user usage behavior, great, it's the right investment. Messages can be improved for any and all systems, of course it requires greater attention, and certainly the approach of other professionals to assist in the best approach to the user at the appropriate times. But this adds value to the system and certainly sells it as well. A better way. Communicate well with your most precious asset, your end user.